When James's mother took her eyes off her 2-year-old son for just a second in the butcher's, on December 2, 1993, it became a moment in time that she would never forget. He was led away, holding the hands of two 10-year-old boys, who later came to be identified as Robert Thompson and John Venables. They were all in the New Strand shopping center in Bootle. 1 minute James had been in the butcher's shop with his mom, and the next, he was gone. James's body was found 2.5 miles away near a disused railway station at Walton, Liverpool. He had been badly mutilated and was tied to the railway track. On the same day, these boys had already been caught on CCTV, trying to take another child, but the mother had caught them in the act and stopped them. They later admitted that they had been going to push the smaller child under traffic. James' mom realized he was missing at 15:40, and Venables and Thompson were spotted on CCTV at 15:42 with James. They dropped him on his head, which caused injuries to his face and head, and then walked another 2.5 miles along the Leeds to Liverpool Canal, joking that they were going to push him in. On the way to their destination, 38 people saw them, but only 2 of them challenged them. James had a bump on his head by this time and was no doubt crying and frightened. Venables and Thompson said to the first person that the younger boy was their little brother. To the other person, they said that they had found him and were taking him to the police so that they could contact his parents. Indeed, they did almost get to the police station, because it was opposite to where they took James up a steep hill to the unused railway station, where they started torturing him. They threw stolen paint into his eye, kicked him, and stomped on him. They threw stones and bricks at him, put batteries in his mouth, and then dropped a 10 kilograms iron bar on him. His skull was fractured in 10 places, and his body had 42 injuries. He was so badly damaged that the cause of death could not be established. It was thought that the older boys may also have put batteries in his anus at some point, but they removed them. The boys tried to make James's death look like a train accident. They tied him to the train track and put weights on him. His body was discovered 2 days later, on Valentine's Day, and it had been cut in two by a train. However, reports indicated that he had died before being hit by the train. James's shoes, socks, trousers, and underpants had been removed, and it was thought that some sexual perversions had been carried out on him. His foreskin had pulled back using force, but Venables and Thompson refused to speak about this part of the attack. Footage from the CCTV in the shopping center was shown on TV, and a woman recognized Venables. She knew that he had been playing truant with Thompson that day, and she informed the police, who arrested the boys. The world was shocked that the murderers were so young. Forensics showed that both boys had blood on their shoes and that the blood on Thompson's shoes matched James's. They also had the same blue paint on them that they had thrown at James. On his little cheek was bruising, which matched the pattern of Thompson's shoe. Both boys were charged with the murder of James Bulger on February 2, 1993, and the public outcry was so strong that their parents had to move away and assume new identities after receiving death threats. By November 1, 1993, they were old enough to have an adult trial, and they both denied charges of murder, abduction, and the attempted abduction of the other child, whose mother had rescued him. They were judged to have mischievous discretion, and it was deemed that they knew what they had done was wrong. On November 24, 1993, they became the youngest convicted murderers of the 20th century, and detained at Her Majesty's pleasure with a recommendation that this should mean very, very many years to come, or at least a minimum of 8 years. After serving 8 years, they were released in 2001. Since his first release, Venables has served 2 years for pornography in 2010, after being arrested and given a formal warning in 2008 as a result of a drunken brawl and possessing cocaine. As recently as early February 2018, Venables was convicted of possessing child pornography, and convicted to a 40-month prison sentence. He admitted having a pedophile manual, which gives instructions on how to have sex with children safely.